हाँ सही है ना, कुछ तो इलीगल काम करना चाहिए जिंदगी में. Okay, so illegal activity is finally started now. Let me go to that task file. No, no, no. We were there here in just a second. Okay, can you just give me a bit idea what we had done last time around, where we had stopped? We have calculated nominal rate from effective. Nominal rate and effective rate. That was the terminology we had used last time around. Now see, for the nominal and effective rate, my dear friends, focus here. There are two perspectives to look at the nominal and effective rate. One is the perspective of the compounding frequency that we have taken. Because of the fact that there is a compounding frequency, that means, say if I am investing something at 100 and the compounding frequency is semi-annually, Miss Jinkle, and 10% is the rate I get, that is a nominal rate, then obviously for the first 6 months I would get 5%, right? Because I have 6 months in a year. So say if I get 5 rupees in the first 6 months and then there is a 105 at the end of the first 6 months, then again I get the 5, but that 5 would be on 105 because it's a compounding. It's the interest on interest, because our interest is reinvested again and on that we get some amount. So on 105, I guess we would be getting 5.25, right? So our total fund value at the end of the first year, so effectively after the 2 periods, one period consisting of 6 months would be 110.25. Now here in this case, you have effectively earned 10.25 because you had invested 100, you have got 110.25, you have got 10.25 effectively, but the nominal rate which was given to you, that was 10%. So why there is a difference between the nominal rate and effective rate? It is because of the compounding frequency. If the yearly compounding is there, then both would be same only. But if the compounding frequency would be different, then there is a possibility that it would be different. Now that is from the perspective of the compounding frequency. There is one more perspective to look at, the effective and real interest rate. At that time, we generally do not use the word effective, we use the word real interest rate. Now that is from the perspective of the inflation. Let me give you a very simple example. Say you have 100 rupees right now, and during the entire year there was an inflation rate. When I say inflation, that means the prices of the goods and commodities are getting increased. Now in the inflation rate as well, there are various terminologies. The wholesale price index is a different thing, consumer price index is a different thing, inflation rate calculated overall is a different thing. One is given by the cost inflation index by the income tax department, CBDT, that is also a different thing. So inflation rates are calculated differently for the different type of purposes. But let's take one inflation rate as a benchmark. We may take any of those and say the prices are getting increased by 8%. So that means you will have to pay 108 at the end of the year to buy the same amount of goods and services which you are buying earlier. जिसके लिए आपको पहले 100 रुपए खर्च करते थे आप, उसी चीजों को परचेस करने के लिए अब आपको कितने खर्च करने पड़ रहे हैं? 108. You are spending more. The problem is, say if you had invested 100 rupees somewhere and that 100 rupees would have got say 9% of the return, so you would have 9 rupees at the end of the year and the entire fund value would be 109, right? So effectively what's your earning in this case? It's just a 1 rupee earning because that's the real return you have got. The thing is, the prices of the goods and commodities have increased significantly by 8%. The same amount of goods and quantity, if you will go in the market right now, would be costing 108. And if you have invested invested this money at 9% interest rate, then you get 109 at the year end. So effectively you have earned only 1 rupee. So that's why when there are the inflationary conditions, at that time we tell the people as a financial advisor, if you would be handling the portfolio of the people at some time, or if you will be handling your own portfolio, at that time we tell to the people that when there is an inflation, at that time you should not invest much of your money in the money market instruments and the fixed interest bearing securities. The problem is when the 8 or 9 percentage of the interest inflation is there, and FD is giving you just 7 percentage, effectively you are in the loss. So accordingly the portfolio needs to be planned. Now that has the direct impact with the stock market as well. If all the people or the significant amount of the people start thinking like, oh my god, we should not invest right now because there is a too much of inflation, we should not invest right now in the fixed bearing securities, fixed interest bearing securities. So possibly in those periods the stock markets may go up irrationally. That could be the potential reason. While in the second term of the UPA government, Manmohan Singh government, the stock markets were going and reaching to the good scales, because at that time there was a good inflation rate too, around 7 to 8, 9% of the inflation rates we were able to see at that time. After the corona, the equations have changed, but before that, I must tell you that the inflation rate was pretty much under the control. Somewhere around retail inflation index was somewhere around 4 to 5 percentages, which was quite good. Now because of this, you will have to calculate the interest rate. Now in real interest rate, when I say real interest rate, that means after adjusting the impact of inflation. So real interest and nominal interest, if this terminology is used, you will be taking from the perspective of the inflation rate. If nominal and effective is used, you will be thinking from the perspective of the compounding frequency. Clear? Good. Now here in this case as well, there are two ways to find the real interest rate. One is quite an approximation way, which is followed by the layman actually. Because see, if you try to explain the second one, which involves a bit of a mathematics, then normal layman people do not understand that. That's why we just reduce the inflation rate from the nominal rate, and whatever the percentage is there, no, we tell that this is the real interest rate you get. But this is an approximation. This is an approximation. When there is a compounding, it is not the right exact answer. I tell you why. But since people do not understand much about the compounding, especially the layman people who do not have much interface with the finance, will not be able to understand this. So that's why we just reduce the inflation rate from the nominal rate. So effectively, if you have the 9% of the nominal rate, just reduce the inflation premium, the real interest rate comes around 4%. Now it has been published by the World Bank as well, international monetary funds as well. They take the lending rates of the bank. अगर बैंक वो है, वो lend कैसे करती है पैसा, lend मतलब कि आपको पैसा कौन से रेट से देती है for the various types of the loans, उसको वो एवरेज आउट करके lending rate फाइंड करती है, और lending rate में से वो inflation rate कम करती है और बताती है आपको real interest. But if we are thinking from the perspective of the investment right now, then we would be taking what we are getting on the investment, and that rate will be comparing with the inflation rate. Is it clear now? Good. Now if we find the exact and real formula, no, that is looking like this, very logical one. Say 1 plus r equal to 1 plus I, right? Whatever the interest rate you will be getting, we have just put r and I over there. r मतलब कि interest rate, I मतलब कि आपका जो amount of interest आएगा वही आपने ऐड किया. अब है ना, उसको आपको differentiate करना पड़ेगा. When we do the differentiation, we divide it by 1 plus inflation rate. So say inflation rate is, we take that as f, So whatever the ratio you get, no, you reduce 1 from that ratio, that's gonna be the real rate, not the approximate rate, real rate. Now this is because of the compounding. आपने 100 रुपए कहीं पे इन्वेस्ट किए हैं, आपको 109 रुपए मिल रहे हैं, आपने 100 रुपए वैसे के वैसे ही रखे, तो आपके 100 रुपए की वैल्यू से फॉर एग्जांपल 108 रुपए अब आपको देने पड़ेंगे बिकॉज ऑफ द इन्फ्लेशन। तो आप डायरेक्टली सीधा 9 में से 8 लेस नहीं कर सकते। You will have to apply the rule of compounding as well. When I say compounding, you will have to differentiate between the two rates by taking the compounding into the picture. So at that time, you will be following the formula 1 plus I divided by 1 plus F minus 1. So say for example, if I give you the inflation rate is 8%. This is inflation rate. And you get the interest rate nominal is 10%. Then how you will be finding it? So how these two answers would be different from each other? Let's see that. So interest rate, which is the I in this case, I would be putting 1 plus 10%, and in denominator I would be putting 1 plus 8%, and from that I would be doing minus 1. So effectively it's 1.10 divided by 1.08 minus 1. What do you get? Can someone tell me? पहले का क्या रहा है? 1.018. Okay, 5 and minus 1. So effectively that's 0.185. 0185. Good. So 0.0185, if you convert that into percentage, that comes at 1.85%. That formula we have applied by applying the compounding, because you cannot put the amount static, you know. You cannot compare the 8% and 9% directly, because if the compounding will take place, no, then the 8% will be different at the end of the year, and 9% would again be the different at the end of the year. That's why you cannot take directly. So for a layman, it's easy to understand. If you just deduct the inflation rate from the interest rate, you get the real rate. But for us, we'll have to differentiate it. Okay, so 1.85% is the real rate we get. Is it clear now? Absolutely clear? Good. So if I give you a few tasks based on this, will you be able to do this? May I have the confirmation from the online students as well? Have you got everything till now, all of you? From Mohammed, I have received the confirmation. Expecting it from Miss Avni as well as Ali. Okay, let's move ahead. Say the inflation rate, you will be finding the real rate for all this number of combinations I'm giving you right now. So I am giving you first is the inflation rate, then interest rate. Find the real rate. So in the first one we have, everyone start doing this. Inflation is say 8% here, 3%, 12%, minus 4%, and 1%. And the interest rate, say for example, you'll get is 9, 8, 5, 2, and 8%. Now if I have the 5 different types of a scenario, thinking from the perspective of the foreign portfolio investor, if you have the 5 countries where you get the interest rate, say you have expected the return and you have the 5 different combinations. In one country you get the 9% interest, but at the same time you have the 8% of the inflation there as well. Another country 3% inflation, 8% interest you get. So in terms of real rate, which country gives you the highest rate? If you want to establish this, you cannot just compare the nominal interest rate as it is. You'll have to find the real rate and find the best alternative available. For the first one, can someone give me the answer? 1 plus I divided by 1 plus F minus 1, as simple as that. So real rate, I am writing the formula equal to 1 plus I divided by 1 plus F. F stands for the inflation, stands for the interest, minus 1. 1 plus I divided by 1 plus F. F stands for the inflation, I stands for the interest rate, minus 1. 0 point. So first one you have got 0.009. ઉપરનો તો ઇન્ટરેસ્ટ વધારે હશે ને 9% હશે ને જોગેશ્વરી, તો એ પ્લસમાં જ આવશે આન્સર, એ તો ફાઇનલ છે. હા, તો percentage would be 0. I guess 09%. No, 0.9. 0.9%. Good. So first one would be 0.9%. Let's find for the second one. I is the interest and F is the inflation. 0.0485. So effectively that's gonna be 4.85% real interest rate for the second alternative. Let's find for the third one. Okay, minus 0.0625. Okay, 6.25%. That's in minus. So you are losing the value of your money in that one. So if you are just getting the 5% interest rate over there, check it out that there is a 12% inflation rate too. In that country, you won't be able to increase your purchasing power. It would rather be reduced. $0.0625, but that's in positive. So 6.25% would be the positive real interest you will be getting in the fourth one. 0.0693. That's the alternative number 5. So you get 6.93%. Everyone please check it out. You are getting the same answer. Let me solve for the fourth one. There is a minus, so please do not forget that. So 1 plus I divided by 1 plus F minus 1. So I is the interest rate. So what's the interest rate in the fourth one? I'm taking the fourth one right now. That's minus 4. So I'm writing 0.04 in minus, right? Because it's minus. Please do not forget that. So here there is a plus and here there is a minus. Then 1 plus F. F is going to be the inflation rate, and inflation rate is 2%. So that's gonna be 0.02 only, minus 1. So over there plus and minus. If you open the bracket, which one survives? Minus. So 1 minus 0.04 divided by 1.02. So what do you get in the numerator, sir? It's 0.96 divided by 1.02 minus 1. So what do you get? अच्छा -4 ઇન્ફ્લેશન રેટ છે મેં ઉપરથી એક જ સેકન્ડ अच्छा गुड फोर्थ वन में -4 तो इन्फ्लेशन रेट છે so that means effectively it's a deflation just a second so it would be the exact ulta 1.02 divided by 0.96 minus 1 what do you get 0.0625 ओके फोर्थ वन में ऊपर वाला इन्फ्लेशन लिया है हमने ओके फाइन देन वी हैव anywhere inflation is too high I guess third one and in third one the effective rate would be quite less minus कितना आ रहा है -6.25 percentages good Is it clear? Till now? Good. Now, there is something called deflation as well. We have taken the example of this. What could be the reasons behind the deflation? The country might have taken the money supply from the economy. अगर आपने प्रिंटेड मनी को वापस ले लिया तो देयर इज अ पॉसिबिलिटी कि आपके डिफ्लेशन हो सकती है अब क्यों डिफ्लेशन हो सकती है बिकॉज आपका जो परचेसिंग पावर है वो करेंसी का वो बढ़ जाएगा द परचेसिंग पावर ऑफ द करेंसी वुड गेट इंक्रीज इफ द कंट्री द गवर्नमेंट द रेगुलेशंस टेक्स बैक द मनी फ्रॉम द इकोनॉमी देयर कुड बी वेरियस रीजंस बिहाइंड इट if they feel that we are right now they're in the too much of inflation and they have taken too much of money then possibly from inflation they may come to the deflation if you take some of the economies like Zimbabwe there is a hell lot of inflation over there when the Zimbabwe got independence one Zimbabwean dollar was equal to $1 US right now it was somewhere around thousands of Zimbabwe dollar equal to the $1 US so that's the reason I mean and if you apply that okay you say that चलो अब पैसा ले लेते हैं मार्केट में से तो फिर डिफ्लेशन का भी हो सकता है प्रॉब्लम पैसा लेने से डिफ्लेशन क्यों आएगा what's the reason why if you take the money back from the economy the printed money back from the economy why would be the deflation can someone explain me the logical flow say if you take back the money that means there would be a less amount of currency now if the less amount of currency is there but the goods and commodities and services which are already there will remain the same only right so the purchasing power of the same amount of currency would get increased and if the purchasing power of the same amount of currency would get increased there would be a deflation the prices of the goods and commodity may get reduced is it clear now okay now to avoid this I was telling you about this topic yesterday as well there is a possibility there is a constant amount of fear being established among the various people here that government and regulations if they have some inclination and links with few people who handles the entire economy who are very powerful people then this inflation rates and the money supply printing of the money can be manipulated theoretically it is absolutely possible to manipulate this but economy is too large for the application of the theory but there is still a possibility because nowadays we have a hell lot of data we have a hell lot of systems we can analyze the things a lot We have the supercomputers to calculate the various complex calculations which we were not able to do few years back. Because of this, there is a possibility now that this system can be manipulated. Now, if there is some crisis like corona, just take the example like this. Now, if government wants to increase the spending, government requires some reason to do, right? Now, if government has the reason like corona has occurred, so now they would be able to lend the money to the banking institutions at the very lower rate, cheap rates. They would be reducing the rates to the great extent because हर एक को free में ये मिलना चाहिए. That's why they are reducing the rates. Now, if the banks would have the too much of money, if the institutions would have the too much of money, at that time what will happen is that they may put their money into the financial assets and securities. That's what been happening right now. If they put their money into the financial assets and securities, the value of the financial assets and securities go up because obviously there is a more inflow from the banking institutions now. जितना सर्कुलेशन बढ़ेगा मार्केट में उतना लोगों के पास पैसे बढ़ेंगे, वो मार्केट में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे. अब ये लोग के पास पैसे ज्यादा बढ़े हैं क्योंकि सी डायरेक्टली the government is giving the assistance to the financial institutions and the banks. If they start investing a lot of money in the financial markets, then the markets go up irrationally. The thing is, who is the real beneficiary of it? Retail individual investors, the penetration in the financial market is quite less in some of the emerging economies like India. Do you know that around 5 to 6% of the people have the demat accounts? Around 90% of the people do not have the demat account. I'm just using the approximate figures right now. So the major benefit of this, if the financial assets value goes up, now the major benefit goes to whom? The people who have the financial assets. Who are the people who carries the financial assets? The billionaires, the people who are running the big gigantic companies. All the owners of the companies would have the financial assets only, no, they have the shares. When I say I am the owner of one company, that means I have the shares of that company, right? Share is a financial asset. But the people like us do not have the financial assets. We have more sort of a physical assets like real estate, we have the furnitures, we have the cars and all such sort of things. और उनके जो assets का proportion देखने जाओ तो 70-80% assets are there in the financial assets. Hardly 10% would be there in the real estates and the physical kind of an assets. उनको क्या करना है, रियल एस्टेट में इन्वेस्ट करना भी है ना, तो रियल एस्टेट नहीं लेंगे, वो रियल एस्टेट की कंपनी में जाके शेयर लेंगे. यही फर्क है उनका और हमारे बीच में. So that's why nowadays there is a term called, real estate mutual funds, very famous. The penetration in India is quite less, but that's gonna be the future of the mutual funds, I tell you. REIT funds, real estate mutual funds. Now this, I tell you, this kind, there is a possibility that this system can be manipulated. Now because of that, some people came and said that let's have our own currency which would be dependent on the demand supply forces only. No government will be able to manipulate that currency. That's why they came up with the cryptocurrencies. Which currencies? Cryptocurrencies. Now cryptocurrency का एक amount है, वो specified है 1.5 crore or 2 crore. I'm not aware about the Bitcoin actually. That is the specified quantity which is available in the market. उसकी quantity increase भी नहीं हो सकती, reduce भी नहीं हो सकती. Unlike the paper currency, जिसकी quantity increase भी हो सकती है, reduce भी हो सकती है. तो paper currency की quantity को तुम अगर increase कर दोगे, तो obviously क्या होगा, जिनके पास paper currency पड़ी हुई है, उनकी value क्या हो जाएगी, कम हो जाएगी. तुम पेपर करेंसी को ले लोगे तो क्या हो जाएगा, जिनके पास पड़ी हुई पेपर करेंसी उनकी वैल्यू अप हो जाएगी. तो गवर्नमेंट कैन डिसाइड कि हु विल बी द पुअर एंड हु विल बी द रिच. In order to avoid that situation, people came up with the cryptocurrencies, and that's why it's becoming more famous. But the problem is, those who are still the authoritative regimes are not accepting this, and I am literally shocked that why India is right now passing on the legislations to stop the cryptocurrencies. They are on the verge of banning it. After few months, it would be banned in India. Because since last few months, the volumes in the cryptocurrencies from India have increased to the manifolds. Because there is a lot of speculation happening around. People have got, nowadays they do not have much faith on their governments. Thing is that there is a possibility if the political establishment has the connections with the corporate, manipulations are bound to happen. It's not just about the India. This kind of a, the lack of faith is seen everywhere around the world. People are losing the faith on the democracies now. Even though democracies are run by the people, managed by the people, they are appointed by the people only, they are losing the faith on it because it can be manipulated in the favor of few handful individuals. So cryptocurrencies is the hedge against the inflation. Many US hedge funds have started investing the significant amount of portfolio in the cryptocurrencies. The problem is the amount and quantity is limited. Right now, the Bitcoin is available only in 1.5 crores. That's the total quantity. So more and more demand would be there. Obviously, it's gonna increase. Now, if the denomination would be too high after some time, then what will happen? They will make the parts of it. Right now as well, the parts are available. It's not like you will have to purchase only in the one denomination of the Bitcoin. You know that the parts are there in millions actually. One Bitcoin has the millions of parts. So if you want to just purchase 0.00001 Bitcoin, then also you can purchase. Now here government cannot manipulate anything. And if government cannot manipulate anything, the government will lose the power of managing the economy only. And if you want to keep it market driven, then keep it market driven. No, what's the problem in this? What's the problem? What's the problem with the cryptocurrency? You should not have any problem with the cryptocurrency. There is absolutely no security concerns as well in the cryptocurrencies. People have time and again proven that there is no security concern too. लेकिन गवर्नमेंट्स उसको रॉन्ग प्रूफ करना चाहती है, नहीं उसमें सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न है, उसमें सिक्योरिटी, अरे भाई कोई सिक्योरिटी कंसर्न नहीं है, because the data is stored in the cryptographic format, which is the blocks of the data, small blocks of the data. So data is not gathered at one place. So one person, individual cannot get the access of that particular data. It cannot be manipulated. It's there in the crypto format, very small parts of the information. Each and order that you are passing, that's there in the blockchain manner. When I say blockchain, that means very small part of the information are being stored. So it's not there at the one place. That's why there is no security concern as well. Blockchain is going to be the next boom in the market, I tell you. Everyone is going to follow that, because when the data is concentrated at one place, that data can also be manipulated. But if the data is not concentrated only, then how it can be manipulated? You are not able to find that who has that data, where it is stored. It's stored in a very parts, small parts. Cannot be manipulated, cannot be used as well for the personal preferences. Anyway, so that's gonna be a different kind of a method, but you have got the real and nominal interest rates, right? You've got the formula as well. 1 plus I divided by 1 plus F minus 1. I stands for the interest rate, F stands for the inflation rate, minus 1 you get the real interest rate. Now this formula is derived after doing the differentiation, like we do in our mathematics, differentiation हम करते थे कि हमारे पैसे की वैल्यू कितनी होगी, तो एग्जैक्ट डिफरेंशिएट करने की कोशिश करते हैं, डायरेक्टली आप लेस नहीं कर सकते दोनों. Okay, so that's it from my side. Next session would be on now we have one thing. Now there is a bit of a lack of flow actually. Option Greeks are introduced. Now thing is that until and unless you do not have the theoretical understanding of the options and how the premiums are getting calculated, Blake and Scholes model and all such sort of models, you'll not be able to understand the option Greeks. So I think I need to give you the theoretical understanding of the options first, and then we can move to the Greeks and their mathematical calculation. Because in your IAPM syllabus, IAPM nahi, FDRM syllabus too, that is coming in the fourth module. And in the fourth module, it's in a theory. So can you imagine the kind of a complexities we have here? In the fourth module, it's a theory. In here, second module, I have the practical. So let's see how I'll be able to cop up. Fine, we'll do it in the next lecture. Options is going to be the discussion in the next lecture. Thank you. Bye bye. All the students who have joined here online may give their. Avni, there will be shortage of money. Yes, you had given the answer for the previous question. Good, good. All the online students may just put their enrollment number as a mark of your attendance. Ali is yet to do it, and here I have few students present. Miss Twinkle, whose vision is very clear nowadays. Literally vision is clear. Then Hitesh, then Jogeshwari. Fine. Okay, see you all in the next session with options. Bye bye, take care. I wanted to start the option today. Remember